Hello, and welcome to another power-packed Phillips podcast. We continue our epic series of podcasts on how to grid different types of answers in on the FCAT because we do not want this to happen to you. Nice. On the back of your FCAT review packet, we have finished the first two rows of the grids. If you've not finished the first two rows of the grids, then please ask the crazy math teacher for a pass or take your packet home, and you can either come back later today, complete the grids that you missed, or you can complete it over the break this weekend and get caught up. Guys, we talked about the other day, but just remember, when you take the FCAT, just like when you go skydiving, you have a backup parachute. When you take the FCAT, you have a backup parachute, so to speak, in your FCAT question book. So if you forget how to grid any of the answers in, make sure you look at this section in your FCAT question book. In today's podcast, we're going to look at two different grids that we haven't talked about before, two different types of answers, you can put in the grid. The first one is a percent, and the next one is money. Guys, right here on the screen, when you're gridding a percent, do not convert the percent to its decimal or fraction equivalent. So if they ask you for an answer as a percent, don't change it to a decimal, don't change it to a fraction. If they ask you for a percent, you're just going to grid the number in without the percent symbol. You're going to grid the number in without the percent symbol. Also, we'll do an example in a minute. If we're talking about money, do not put the dollar symbol anywhere in the symbol. Percent, just put a number. Money, just put a number. There you go. For today's podcast, we are going to fill in the grids, all the grids, in the third row. All right, so on your paper, let's practice gridding in a percent. Pretend they ask you to grid in the percent on the FCAT, and you get an answer of 79%. Remember, if they ask you for a percent, do not change it to a decimal, do not change it to a fraction. If they ask you for a percent, just put it in as a whole number. So on your paper, in the first grid, please grid 79%. I'm just going to put the whole number, 79, bubble, bubble, no percent sign, plain 79. It's as easy as that. Maybe the Cubs could do it this afternoon. In the second grid, we're going to practice putting in money for the FCAT. Pretend that you got an answer of $132.17. Remember, you are not going to put a dollar sign anywhere in the grid, near the grid, outside the grid. So you are just going to grid 132.17. Please do that on your paper. Don't forget to bubble in the decimal. In the third grid, let's do a quick review of gridding in mixed numbers. Remember, if you get a mixed number on the FCAT, remember the Hamburglar, that's right, you've been macked. Multiply, add, keep the denominator. So on your paper, we are going to multiply 4 times 12 is 48. M, multiply, I'm going to add my numerator. 48 plus 3 is going to give me 51. I'm going to keep my denominator macked. Multiply, add, keep the denominator. So in your third grid, please grid 51 fraction bar 4. That is an improper fraction. Nice. Dub errors. Make sure that you bubble in the fraction bar. On your paper in the fourth grid, we're going to review how to grid in a repeating decimal, rational number, bar notation. Nice. Stop errors. You are simply going to put the numbers in until you run out of space. So don't forget to color, fill in the decimal, and then my answer here is 0.166666 repeating. So I'm going to put a 0, a decimal point, a 1, and I'm just going to put in 6s until I run out of room. Remember, do not put a bar for bar notation anywhere in the grid. Just fill in the numbers until you run out of space. And last problem for today's podcast, we're going to review how to grid in a terminating decimal, all the way back, rational number. Nice. Stop errors. You are simply going to put in a 0, a decimal point, 125. Make sure you fill in your circles for your numbers and your decimal. And it's that easy, and maybe the Cubs will win today. Even if they don't, they have 161 more chances after today, but who's keeping track? Not me. Alright guys, make sure that your podcast has been rewound so you don't get -10 by the next class who likes to rat you out. Return your iPod to the case, and please put your FCAT review packet back on the counter. TY. Later.